2, 1.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending this week's meeting of the Warrant Committee. We have before us 6 articles, which I think we are able to vote on tonight. Before we do that, I would ask for a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting. Any questions about that? Have a second?
Second.
Any questions? Any comments? If none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you very much. It passes. Our first article.
Chance to read.
I just don't think they heard you.
No, we have one abstention. Okay, fine. You got the abstention.
I got the
Okay,
abstention.
well, it passed, so that's fine. We got them out as quickly as we could this time. So we have a couple of things that we can talk about before we vote. We could actually vote on a couple of things. I think we've talked about the Fire Station Building Committee appropriation. I think it may be appropriate to vote on that before we begin other presentations. Has anybody any objection to that? So the Fire Station Building Committee appropriation has asked for $2.7 million for the initial construction drawings, et cetera. We've seen the language. The chair will entertain a motion to accept the provision and recommend it to the town meeting with our approval.
Do we have the final language? I'm still trying to get that
That's
out.
what you just said.
So nobody's seen final language.
You haven't seen it? I think it's on.
She emailed it.
I just
Yeah,
emailed it.
it's on the
Sorry,
website.
I was
Yeah.
still trying to
It's been
upload
put
it.
on. It's been put on. So for those of us who have reviewed it, let's see if I can. I'll pull it up and read it. Okay. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money for architectural, engineering, design services, including production of construction documents for a new fire headquarters and 2 fire substations. In addition, the funding will also include services of a state-mandated owner's project manager, or OPM, determine whether the money will be provided by the tax levy, transfer from available funds, by borrowing, or by any combination of these methods, or act in the manner in relation thereto. Funds requested, $2.7 million. That's the language. And the description is these funds will permit the design work for new headquarters and 2 substations at the locations outlined below. Subsequent funding for construction will likely be requested at a town meeting in the fall of 2019. Headquarters, Engine 1 in the town center. Substation, Engine 2, East Milton location to be determined. Substation, Engine 4, Atherton Street, which we all know. So there's the language. The chair will entertain a motion to approve. Any discussion?
The only thing is,
Yeah, you need a
it's
second.
not,
Yeah, you need
there's nothing in this article that indicates who submitted it, but other than that, I have no
It
problem
was
with language.
submitted by the.
Doesn't say- You know, there's, I'm looking at it, doesn't say
It
who
was submitted by the selectmen, I believe, select board, I beg your pardon.
Yes, it should
Okay,
just say that. doesn't it?
that should be inserted when we
It's there.
go through the draft.
Says from to.
From Fire Station Building Committee to Select Board Capital Improvements Committee, it's actually both. So, a motion has been made, and do I have a second?
Yeah, second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor to recommend this to the town meeting with our recommendation to approve? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Article 1 is approved. Okay, so we're going to skip a little bit because I think we are going to have someone come and speak to us. Cheryl Turgis could not come from the zoning board, but is sending a representative. So can we talk about Article 6, to authorize the moderator to appoint the school building committee? School building committee for discussion purposes. And that language is in the draft that you see here, Article 6, which says, to see if the town will vote to establish a school building committee for the purpose of planning the construction, alteration, renovation, remodeling, and furnishing of school buildings, to authorize the moderator to appoint 9 members to serve on the committee, 2 of whom shall be members of the school committee, to see what sum of money the town will vote to appropriate for the committee's purposes, including, without limitation, for the retention of architectural or other consultation services and for preliminary schematic drawings and specifications, to determine how said appropriation shall be raised, whether by borrowing or otherwise, and to act on anything related thereto. This, I believe, was submitted, was it jointly by the school committee and the select board, or just by the select board, just to be precise? This is by the school committee, by itself. Okay, so there is the article's language. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this subject, just to appoint the committee?
Yes.
Okay,
Mr.
Kevin.
Chair, there was some question of the makeup of the group,
Yes.
with the request being 2 school committee
Yes.
members. We had, I think we had preliminary conversations around having at least 2 from the administration.
Of the town.
Of the town.
Yes.
Be on the committee and have it be expressly written
Into the article.
into the article.
Or into the recommendation, yeah.
Yep.
As part of the
Does
recommendation.
anybody have any, I have no objection to that. I mean, I would imagine that would be a good thing. Now my question, as a point of format, will we modify this, or are we just going to put it in the comment that we recommend it?
You put in the recommendation.
The recommendation, okay, so we will approve this article as written and include those, I forget who's drafting this one, but we should make sure that they are aware that they should include in our recommendation that the moderator is urged by the warrant committee and recommended to town meeting to include 2 members of the town administration.
You have to specify.
I was just thinking, do we have to specify whom?
Because the town
They could appoint
be
a second,
already
yeah,
ex
right.
officio member or.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work. Do we have any
Two
feedback
members
from
of the
anyone?
select board, you could say the town administrator and 1 member of the select board, I mean, you could,
Could we just say town official?
That could
I
be
guess you
anybody.
could, that would make it
That-
I mean, I don't know that we want to
But
put
that could
somebody
be
on
the-
there that may not want to be on there.
Well,
My
I mean-
concern.
You can always say, member of the select board or their designee.
I like and designee.
Yeah. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yes.
Member of the town
Are you
administrators,
saying 2 members of the select board then, or?
at least 1, and then 1 from the town administrators. Staff particularly? Does that work,
They're busy.
Mr.
I would
Administrator?
suggest Bill Ritchie, the Director of Consolidated Facilities. I would too.
Do you want to, we can write that in if you think that is wise. Okay, Director of, do
Specify
I
something.
see that as problematic.
you want to be that specific?
I see that as problematic.
How so?
The reason I see it as problematic is, poor Bill's between a rock and a hard place, because he answers to both of those. He answers to,
Oh.
and if he goes in one direction or the other direction,
Yeah.
it's not
conflict
fair
is
to him.
there.
It's just not fair to him.
Okay, let's be
Say
so,
2 people to be designated by the town, by the board, by the select board.
Oh, yeah, you could do it that way.
could do it that way. Two people to be designated by the select board.
Sorry.
Is that acceptable to everybody?
Are there any limitations on who the 2 people are? I mean,
I
we
would say-
want them to be,
To appropriately qualified
Right, I mean,
individuals to be selected by the select board,
Yeah.
to be nominated by the select board. Why don't we put it that way?
But we would like them to be town
Right.
administrative officials,
Okay?
right?
Give me some
Not-
language.
I think the select board or the designee.
I agree.
kinda says it.
I like that.
Members of the select board are their designees.
yep.
Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Okay, so the recommendation is, hey Clinton, the recommendation for Article 6, we recommend approval of the article as presented with the recommendation to include to the town meeting that the select board nominate, included on this 9 members, in addition to 2 school committee members, will be 2 members nominated by the select board. Is that enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Is everybody agreeable to that? Again, I do not have at my fingertips who exactly is going to draft that one, but let's make sure that that makes it into the minutes clearly so that there's no
So
question.
what was your language? 2 members?
2 members, two of the members shall be nominated by the select board.
No. Select board or the designee.
So it has to
Select
be
board
an
or the
official.
designee, meaning the
In other
select
words,
board
the select board can be the members if they want to be.
They
Right.
don't just
If
pick
if you say
anybody
2
from the
members
town, it's somebody.
elected by the select board, then the select board can't be.
Okay. Give me the language then.
Just what I said.
All right. Do you have it?
With the recommendation to include 2 members nominated by the select board or the designee.
No,
No,
2
the-
members
the
of the
select
select board
board
or
or
their
their
designees.
Or their designees.
Either or.
2 members of the select board or their designees.
Which would allow the select board to say 1 member and the town administrator, or
Whatever.
however they want to
Okay,
do it.
got it. Okay, so with that caveat, the chair will entertain a motion. Oh, we have the motion on
We have the
that's
motion.
Yeah, I still have more
And it's been
comments.
seconded?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
I still have more comments.
Oh, go ahead.
The article bothers me a little bit in that we're jumping right into a school building committee without having an exploratory committee first. You know, we all agree there's a problem, there's an overcrowding problem. We all agreed 25 years ago there was a problem with fire stations, that they're falling down. But we didn't jump right into a building committee. We went through proper channels. We went through an exploratory committee to determine, is there a need there? We recognize there's a problem. The word school building committee just right away says, we're throwing everything else out, we're gonna build something. And maybe that is the answer, but I was putting the cart before the horse.
So full disclosure, I'm on what could be termed the exploratory committee for this, which includes parents and representatives of the school committee. And we actually have been doing that preliminary work. I realize it's not exactly the same process that was done.
And there's
the
never been a
prior-
report to town meeting about it? Or
No, I
Is
understand
that
that.
from the school committee, or
There- yes.
is it from town meeting?
School committee
authorized? So
members,
that's
yeah, school committee members, parent representatives. I realize, and I'll just, one more clarification that I would say is I don't think it's intended to be called school building committee because we're planning to build a school.
I understand
I think
that.
it's in consideration of the buildings and the problems with the space in the buildings, whether it be current, whether the plan is to build a new one or expand them. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I think when the school committee chairperson was here presenting the reasons for jumping ahead, it was really an attempt to consolidate that process into one committee. I don't think anybody's intending to bypass the process, the natural process of getting approval from town meeting or anything. So that's just from the perspective of somebody who sat in those meetings, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's, to your point, is part of the more official process.
Yeah,
I think
the
that was
town meeting
more
has not
exploration
heard
from
this
the-
argument yet, or.
And then, I'm not even sure if we got the report that they kept referencing in their budget. I saw
We saw the
the
numbers.
I think we
Excel
did, yeah,
sheets
yeah.
in their
Oh.
budget.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't see the
whole
underlying
report.
report, which they still haven't given. Like, what are their assumptions for these demographic rates and tax codes or economic conditions? I
Right.
only saw the Excel sheet of their projections. I didn't see the whole report. So, I'm more inclined to disagree.
Yeah, that's why I'd like to see it shared with town meeting, to have town meeting agree, yes, there is a need, so now let's form a committee
Yes.
once everybody agrees there's a need, and that need can't be satisfied with anything else other than some kind of building or remodeling,
Yes.
which is probably the answer, but,
You still should do it the right way.
yeah, that's my concern.
Can I just ask just a question? Is it just kicking the can down the road for another year and making this, and I'm
Compounding a
not-
problem.
But I'm just, I'm sitting here
In all
looking-
honesty, it could well be.
Yeah,
But I'm just trying to look at this. They're not asking for any money.
no.
They're not
Well, yeah.
asking.
No, they
Right, not
will.
yet, but even so, even when it
They
was
have
an
to.
exploratory,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So, okay, so we do that for what, a year, or however long we designate, and then we're back, I'm sitting here, like Groundhog Day, doing the exact same thing a year from now, approving this committee, which again, costs no money. So, I guess I just don't understand why we would push this off a whole nother year.
Well, it doesn't have to be a
Knowing
year.
that there's a need.
I mean, we're in February now, we could say report back at the Maytown meeting. Couple of months.
I don't like getting caught in form for form's sake, personally. I think that's not what we're here for. I think we're here to affect the town's business. I'm personally in favor of just sending this through. I leave it to the school committee to have done the exploratory work. I trust them. I think they're bright people. I'm really not going to overthink this one.
But like Doug says, we haven't even seen a report.
But I would like to know what they're, I don't want them just to say, yes, we need it. I would like to,
They're not.
the back,
I don't think they have said that. I think they said we need to look at what the problems are and how to solve them.
Well,
And if
that's
that
not what a
means
building
building
committee, a
them.
building committee figures out where you're gonna build.
No,
Maybe
that's
Maybe
not
not.
what it even
Bill
says.
Maybe not.
Bill can be remodeling,
for
but
architectural
it's a foregone
consultation
conclusion
services,
that,
schematic drawings, this is This is
This is
designed
building
to
something.
make a building someplace.
Okay,
It
let's
could.
start, all
The
right,
building committee could.
let's play devil's advocate. We'll push this a little bit further, because I am going to call the discussion shortly, because my patience doesn't go very far with things like this. Okay, fine. The school committee has told us that they have an overcrowding problem. We've seen the numbers. We've got kids in computer labs and music rooms and art rooms that should be computer labs, art rooms, and music rooms, learning English and math and history and life science.
Yep.
I think that's terrible, particularly after all the money that we spent on these things that came out of my very hard-earned tax dollars, and I pay plenty. And I think that after a fashion, we can rely on the school committee to say, yeah, we have too many kids for these schoolrooms. What's the alternative? We can't stack them on each other's heads, and we can't create rooms by saying, poof, there they are. So I think that we're really being a little bit pedantic about this. And I really, really object to the pedantic approach. We have a problem, we've seen the numbers, the superintendent has come here, the school committee chair has come here, the school committee finance chair has come here. What are we wasting time for? Let them look at building a building, because you know that's what's going to happen. I'm sorry, it is. I've lived in this
Yeah, I
town my
have a huge
whole
problem with
life.
letting them build a building because we can't afford a building right now.
We can't afford anything right now, but we still have to know what it is that we have to not afford.
True that.
We can't
That's
afford
an
anything.
exploratory committee.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've done the exploratory. The school committee did that. I mean, if we want to put this, kick it down 6 months,
Fine, you
that's
put it to a
fine.
vote, I'm just a no on it, that's all.
Yeah.
All right, everybody has an opinion, and we're all entitled to one vote. So, is there any further discussion on this? We can caveat, the building committee can have the membership that we're recommending, which would be designated by the school committee, by the select board. I think that we have to leave it to the town meeting to decide what to do here. If they come back and say, let's have the exploratory committee, fine. I have a feeling they won't. But anyway, so if there's no other discussion, actually, I'm bringing an end to the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All opposed? 1, 2, 3. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, next.
Is that a word? Pedantic?
Pedantic.
You like that word?
Yeah, I did.
That was a word for the day from Father Corcoran my junior year at BC High. Okay, next. We have,
Two of them.
Kidder Branch, Article 2.
We already did that one, Mr. Chair.
We didn't do the Article 2.
We did at the last meeting. We voted 7 yea, 5 nay.
I'm sorry, we did.
2 people were absent and the chair did not vote.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Passed. I did not have that note here. That's my fault for
You
forgetting.
want that later, Lynn?
I got it, thank you very much. So the article
We did vote
passed.
that pending the,
Pending,
and they can sell it.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
they
read
can't
that
sell
today.
it. And
But I'm not sure they understood from the talk we had with them that they can't use the money, they can only use their earnings. And I think the library trustees really should be aware of that. I am correct in saying that, John, that it's in essence an endowment fund?
All the money goes into the fund, they can use.
John, can you come
Earnings.
to,
Proceeds of the sale.
John, can you come to the mic?
Right, to put
please?
into investment and then use the earnings.
We'll do the,
That's what I'm
planning
reading
board.
that as.
Articles.
Yeah, she just got
So
them.
the question is, we have voted Article 2, we had some questions. I do remember the conversation now.
Yep.
Because I said if we had additional information, we could reconsider it. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, it's been a busy week. So.
You're doing great.
Oh, I don't know about that. So the question is brought up that the trustees may sell the property, the proceeds from which need to be kept in trust, and the income from which can be used. And we have our town council here to validate or not.
I believe that's correct, Mr. Chairman, but would you give me a second, please? to,
Please do, take your time, John, we're delighted you're here, and thank you
Thank
for
you,
your time.
glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation. Yes, Mr. Chairman, just by way of background, to make a long story short, the town got this problem by deed. Subsequently, the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court approved the conveyance and the conditions of the conveyance. One of them, back in 1928, by the way, one of the provisions that Mr. Hurley is referring to is and to apply the income therefrom from time to time under the control and direction of the trustees of the public library of said inhabitants of the town of Milton or their successors, to the establishment or maintenance of a public library, branch libraries, or reading room, or for other public library purposes in such manner as the trustees of said public library for the time being shall deem for the benefit of the inhabitants of the town of Milton. So the member is correct. That's talking about the income earned by the investments from the proceeds of the sale.
Which is not a large sum of money.
Right.
Well, the estimate they had for the sale of the property was around $1 million, if I remember. And if you're looking at current rates of return, you're looking at 5% on a weighted average basis, if you do a balanced fund on a good day.
Again, you got prudent investor rule, so you probably less than 5.
Probably less, probably closer to 3,
Yeah.
if they're lucky. So that's $30,000 a year. All right, well, may they prosper.
I mean, I guess as long as they're aware of that, it's...
I think that answers our question.
Did they get a copy of this opinion?
Yes, they actually...
Yeah.
Back in 2015, this has
2015
been
they
talking
did,
about
but
for quite a
I
while.
don't think they're aware of it.
I don't know that they appreciate it because they're talking about using the money for physical plans.
Right.
And 30,000 doesn't pay for much physical plans. So this would be interesting.
Pay the annual salary.
For those of us who oppose this article, the idea that they're gonna sell the public land for the ability to use $30,000 a year seems to be a,
That, I think, will come up at the town meeting.
yeah,
It
seems to,
also gets them out of the headache of being a
Landlord.
Landlord.
Yeah.
True,
Which is
but-
another aspect. But
And the
an
upkeep.
yeah.
interesting thing is, if I'm remembering the numbers properly, the rent that they received from this property, I don't think it's 30,000 a year. I think it's, yeah, it's about 20, 25,000. So maybe they're gonna be doing a little bit better without the upkeep on a net basis, so. Anyway, I'm sure this will be brought up at the town meeting, but our recommendation for it to go to town meeting is done. Unless anybody has any significant, I think what we should highlight in the comment, whoever is writing the comment,
That's me and Chris.
yes, that it is, should be absolutely underlined to the town meeting that the proceeds from the sale have to be invested and cannot be used for anything other than the support of the library. Income from the proceeds.
And the capital can't be
Capital cannot be deployed for anything.
only the income.
Right. And that's the important point. Okay, very good. So, Article, let's see, thank you, John, very much. Let's see, the next one that we want to talk about is the,
It's a good catch.
Article 5. To see if the town will vote to supplement each prior vote of the town that authorizes the borrowing of money to pay costs of capital projects to provide that, in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, the premium received by the town upon the sale of any bonds or notes thereunder, less any such premium applied to the payment of the costs of issuance of such bond or notes may be applied to pay project costs, and the amount authorized to be borrowed for each such project shall be reduced by the amount of any such premium so applied, or to take any other action relative thereto.
If you want.
A long-term bond, maybe.
Basically, Mike, do you want to address this, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Basically, in a nutshell, the town issued $11 million worth of AAA bonds in August, and there was a premium of $688,000 from the sale of those bonds. What we're asking for here is for this committee and town meeting to approve the utilization of that to put towards a future project, with the stipulation that each portion of that was bonded can only be used for that length of time or longer. In other words, there's a portion that has to be used 5 years or longer, 10 years or longer, 15 years or longer, 20 years or longer, and 30 years or longer. The 30 years or longer portion of that $688,000 is approximately $96,000. That portion is a harder project to find. Obviously, if you're doing buildings, I think that money was bonded in order to repair the Public Works facility on Randolph Avenue. So that, the intention is to use, the ability to use that $596,000, if you will, roundabout, to apply that to a future capital project of no longer term of length.
Now, it goes a little further than that, though, because the Municipal Modernization Act, and one of the reasons for it is, prior to the Municipal Modernization Act, you could not use the premium from the sale of a bond to reduce the project cost of that issuance. And this will allow you to do that. It's kind of like a simultaneous equation,
Yes.
because as you reduce the amount of your borrowing, the current borrowing, the premium goes down at the same
Right,
time.
exactly.
But it would allow you to, take a good chunk of that and reduce the borrowing, thereby, reducing the interest cost.
When these bonds were issued in serial, was there a sense of application of the proceeds for specific projects at the
Yes.
time? There was?
Yes.
Okay, and the 96,000 that's remaining for the long term is unforeseen stuff that can come up, or a longer-term project, or tree planting that'll take 30 years or something?
Correct, yeah.
Something of that nature.
The lesser useful lives are more applicable.
Okay.
Right. So, so without this, we did not have the ability to apply that premium
Right.
to that current bond issue.
Is everybody clear on what this basically permits us to do, permits the town to do? It's okay. What it does is, it takes the portion of the bond that was at a premium, that was unanticipated, and permits the town to spend it appropriately for equally aged, if you will, projects of one sort or another. So if there's something that's going to be 2 years, if the serialized bond that was issued for 2 years, you can use that portion of the premium. The issue is now you've got something out for 30 years, and there's $96,000 left. What are you going to do 30 years from now? Well, I'll be dead, but I don't know what's going to happen at that point, but that's somebody else's problem. So that's clear? Everybody's cool? Okay, is everybody understanding what we're doing now? So the recommendation is to go to the town meeting to permit the town administration to use this premium as stated, which the Mr. Administrator kindly explained to us. So the chair will entertain a motion to approve that for recommendation to the town meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any further discussion? All in favor? Thank you very much. I think that's unanimous. Very good. Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much. So we have 2 more planning articles that came up. Cheryl is not here tonight, but she has sent, Bill? Bill, thank you for coming to explain these to us. One is the setback. Article 3 is what's called the setbacks and the height, and Article 4 is effectively cleanup language for the planned utility development. Or am I reading?
Thank you.
Or is there more into it that I need to explain? Article 3. This is the setbacks bylaw. Does everybody have these, by the way? Oh, you've got
Now we
some.
have hard
Coming
copy.
You
around.
have hard copy, my God.
Copies we could-
How 20th century.
The one with the red is the setbacks.
This is the amendment.
Those are the changes.
Okay. Bill, what was the genesis for this change in the height and setback?
There was three pieces in number 7, and that was the 75-foot non-disturbance in the back. Elsewhere in the zoning, it says that you can have a roadway within 50 feet.
Oh, wow.
So it says 50 feet in one place, it talks about a 75-foot zone of non-disturbance in another, so
Okay.
it contradicts each other.
So this is cleaning it up.
Yep.
Okay.
The second one was the height of the building.
Yep.
2 stories, but no definition of how high that could be. And the third one was 550 feet from the road providing frontage. We have a private way on the side, which is Carberry Lane,
Yes.
and it wasn't meant that it would be 550 feet from Carberry Lane, because for the most part, you're not even going to see those houses from Carberry Lane. The idea was it was 550 feet from Canton Ave, which is the road providing frontage, except for the first 3 homes going up the main drive, which is one of the houses that gets preserved.
The big one. that you
No,
can see from the
the
street?
big one's more than, it's
That's
back
farther
far
back?
enough.
That makes it okay.
It's where Ken Carberry Jr. lives. There's a
Oh, I
lead
know
to
the house. It's right, it's kind of sideways to the street.
Yes.
Yeah, got it.
It goes up the
Yeah,
there are 3 driveways. It's the driveway in the middle when you go up.
right.
And it's on the main drive, sideways to the drive, yes.
So does that qualifies or not?
It's built into the
Oh,
zoning
it
to
is.
allow
For that.
an existing house from 1900.
Be bigger than
No, it's
35
not
feet.
1900, it's, that's 1940s,
that's
1940s.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you can build buildings that are of, accessory structure to that, so it could be a carriage house style. So that's what will be built, are 2 houses that look more like carriage houses to the original house.
I see.
They're built in a small drive right in the back of that.
Okay. And is this specifically pertaining to that particular development? Or is it going to be extended to the rest of the town?
It can go to the rest of the town.
But this is specific
Right
to
now,
that
it's
particular project?
cleaning up this particular
Got it,
project.
okay. Does anybody have any questions? If there aren't any questions, the chair will entertain a motion to accept this as presented and recommend to the town meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Approved. Okay, next.
You turn it over.
Yep.
This is the traffic mitigation article.
Save a tree.
Guess that's a yes.
Go ahead, Bill. It's all you.
By adding the language, we're specifically adding in more than what we had before. It applies in residential districts, business districts, as well as in a planned unit development and in an overlay district.
Okay.
Again, we're cleaning it up and we're making sure that everywhere is part and parcel to this now. Under number 2, again, it's the same. We're putting in that it clarifies that the planned unit development or the overlay district or a residential district, the bylaw applies to projects require a special permit. And the third one was to clarify that in a business district, the bylaw applies to projects require a site plan approval. Not every building that exists already requires a new special permit. So it requires a site plan approval, and a site plan approval would pick this up.
What are the exceptions for that might not require the site plan approval?
Site plan approval is required on any commercial structure that is over 800 square feet exterior of the building.
Any questions? None. Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to accept this article and recommend it to town meeting as written. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. It passes. Bill, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Done. We have our town council, John Flynn.
Chairman, just a brief comment. Unlike your other articles, this one is stated more generically
Yeah.
to provide notice. I will draft a recommendation for the committee, but when would you need it by? I understand there's a very tight time frame here, so when would you like to receive from us a draft
If
recommendation?
you can have that ready sometime within the next week, that would be helpful, because we want to get these put through within the next, no later than the next 10 days. Everything, I think, and thank you for bringing that up. The comments, we've taken the votes, the comments should be ready and drafted this week. I would say, Lynn, by Friday, maybe? We can accumulate them. Mr. Administrator, is that okay if we have them to you by Friday?
That would be great, Mr. Chair. The printer is asking that we have the draft warrant in his hands by January 22nd.
I think we can do
Jen
that. That's a
McCullough
week from tomorrow.
From tomorrow, Jen McCullough from my office and
And Lynn will
Selectman's office
coordinate.
in Lynn
I think we
will work on
can,
it.
we should be able to do that. I think because there are six to be done. If the greeting and your letter are in, I can have mine in, and if these articles can be drafted, the commentary can be drafted again, concise, to the point, reflect what we discussed here and the concerns that were brought up. Particularly, I think this is important because we are a large committee and represent various and diverse opinions within the town. A vote tells you one thing, but the discussion within the committee is, I believe, equally important. I mean, everybody's opinion is important. We all get one vote, but everybody's opinion is important, and particularly when there has been a difference of opinion, as there has emerged on certainly two of, if not three of these particular articles, it's important that the town meeting knows that it was not unanimity. There was a certain point of view anti that was expressed, and just because it wasn't in the prevailing side doesn't mean that it shouldn't be considered. And I'm sure the town meeting will have the same opinion, because they're all smart people and they think and they read, and they're going to be interested in what we have to say both ways. So,
Chair, if I could just
Please.
add a thanks to this group for their extra work. I know the February town meeting was kind of dropped in everyone's lap, and it's an additional burden.
well, it's a burden on you and on the select board and on the other planning, so we share that and we're happy to cooperate
And we'll
for the good of the town.
Get on to our fiscal year 20 budget
Absolutely.
shortly.
So with that in mind, we would anticipate seeing the budgets this week?
Correct.
Perfect, because we're going to meet a week from tomorrow, a week from Wednesday, our next meeting, and we'll hope to have presentations, the overview presentations from, if we can get Chief Grant and Chief King to come with Chase Berkeley from DPW, and trying to think of, Parks and Rec would be helpful too.
Maybe Bill Ritchie from Consolidated as well.
That would be fine. If we could have them come, they can all make the presentations, and then we can be off to the races with those and try to get that drafted quickly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have no meeting next Monday. Next meeting will be the 23rd, a week from Wednesday. Is there any new business that we need to consider? If none, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn, and thank you very much for coming.
Mr. Chair,
All in
just one
favor?
second.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have our
I just wanna echo,
chair of our select board.
I just want to echo Mr. Dennehy's thanks. I know that you have very busy schedules, and we probably could have had a two-day special but each of these articles are important to moving the government. I'm sure that you realize that sometimes things seem to move at snail's pace in this world, but this will really help each one of these, and so thank you for your time.
Well, we're happy to cooperate, and, we're all neighbors, and it's for the, we all benefit when this works well.
We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Okay, all in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
So, thank you very much.